Long ago in a quiet valley tucked between the Blue Ridge Mountains there stood a small town called Willowbrook Hollow. The town was peaceful, lined with maple trees, white wooden fences, and golden wheat fields that shimmered at sunset. In a modest farmhouse at the edge of town lived a gentle, kind-hearted girl named Elena Harper. Elena had eyes the color of early morning skies and a spirit as soft as spring rain. But behind her quiet smile was a life filled with hardship. Her mother had passed away when she was very young. A few years later her father remarried. At first her stepmother Margaret seemed polite and distant, but after Elena's father passed away unexpectedly when she turned 17, Margaret's heart hardened completely. Though Elena's father had left behind a comfortable inheritance, Margaret controlled everything. And kindness disappeared from the house. One autumn afternoon, when the wind carried the scent of dry leaves, Margaret dragged heavy burlap sacks into the barn. "Separate every grain of rice from the pebbles," she said coldly. "All of it before sunset, or you will not eat tonight." There were 20 large sacks. It was impossible. Elena knelt on the wooden barn floor, her fingers trembling as she tried to separate the tiny stones. The golden light faded slowly through the barn windows. Tears blurred her vision. "I wish someone could help me," she whispered. Suddenly the air shimmered. A soft silver glow filled the barn. Dust particles turned into sparks of light. And before her stood a radiant figure, delicate wings glowing like moonlight over water. "I am Lunara, the Moonlight Fairy," she said gently. "And no kind heart cries alone." With a graceful wave of her hand a breeze swept through the barn. The rice lifted into the air like golden snow, separating perfectly from every pebble. Within moments the task was complete. Elena gasped in wonder. When she looked again, Lunara was gone. The next morning Margaret led Elena to an old dried-up well behind the property. "Fill this well by nightfall," she demanded, handing her a cracked wooden bucket riddled with holes. Water spilled through every gap. Still Elena tried over and over again. Her knees sank into the mud. Her hands ached. The sky darkened. Then once more silver light descended like mist. Lunara appeared beside her. "You carry more strength than you know," the fairy whispered. She raised her arms toward the sky. Clouds gathered. Thunder rumbled softly. Rain began to fall, gentle at first, then steady and pure. The well slowly filled until it overflowed with crystal clear water. Margaret's eyes burned with jealousy when she saw it. Something unnatural was helping this girl. For her final and cruelest challenge, Margaret took Elena beyond the fields to an empty meadow surrounded by oak trees. "Build me a mansion here," she said sharply. "Not a house, a palace before sunset." The meadow was nothing but stone and grass. Elena's heart pounded, but she did not cry this time. She closed her eyes and trusted. The wind grew still. Moonlight shimmered across the grass even though it was midday. Lunara appeared for the third time. She touched the earth. The ground trembled softly. White marble rose from beneath the soil. Silver balconies curved toward the sky. Tall glass windows reflected rainbow light. Gardens bloomed instantly, roses, lavender, and glowing lilies. Within minutes a breathtaking silver palace stood in the meadow. Margaret stormed inside, searching for flaws. But as she hurried down a staircase in fury, she slipped in her rage and fell into the dark cellar below. Her own bitterness had become her downfall. And just like that, Elena was free. The silver palace now belonged to Elena. Word spread across Willowbrook Hollow and far beyond the mountains. Visitors came daily, but none truly touched her heart. Until one spring afternoon a traveler arrived. His name was Daniel Westwood, the son of the governor of neighboring Evercrest City. He was not arrogant like others. His voice was warm. His smile honest. His eyes thoughtful. He spoke to Elena not of wealth but of dreams, books, music, and hope. Slowly, gently they fell in love. But happiness is often tested. Daniel returned to Evercrest to ask his father's blessing. There, a jealous noblewoman named Victoria Hale, who had long desired Daniel's affection, overheard his plans. In secret she visited a traveling sorcerer and obtained a potion, a draft of forgetting. She offered Daniel a celebratory drink. The moment he swallowed it, his memories of Elena faded like mist at sunrise. He never returned. At the edge of the Silver Palace garden stood a tall linden tree. Elena waited there every evening. Days passed, then weeks. Finally she understood. Something was wrong. With quiet courage she packed 3 gowns. One shimmering like sunlight. One glowing like the moon. One sparkling like stars. She buried her jewels beneath a stone near the tree and set out for Evercrest City. To find the truth. Evercrest was celebrating a grand spring festival, 3 nights of music and dancing. On the first night Elena wore the gown of sunlight. She entered the grand ballroom unnoticed until the chandeliers reflected gold from her dress. Daniel saw her. His heart stirred, though he did not know why. They danced. On the second night she wore the moonlit gown. This time Daniel searched for her. On the third night she wore the starlit dress. Before midnight she took his hand. "Do you remember the promise beneath the linden tree?" she whispered. She gently kissed his left hand. In that instant the spell shattered. Memories rushed back, the palace, the meadow, the waiting. "Elena," he breathed. "You are my true love." Victoria's deception was exposed. Daniel refused to build a future on dishonesty. They returned to Willowbrook Hollow together. Their wedding took place beneath the linden tree. The Silver Palace glowed brighter than ever. And high above, Lunara shimmered among the stars. Years later Elena and Daniel welcomed a daughter named Clara, a child with eyes like dawn and a heart like her mother's. And they lived not in luxury alone but in gratitude, loyalty and love.